something from someone who has nothing to steal. That's real.
Hey, what is up, guys? Brenton Petrie from 3-Bit Gaming. It is another day, so let's get into this. We're gonna be looking at Anhur in this week's Build a Champ. He's actually one of my favorite ADCs. Has a lot of power packing behind that spear of his when he throws it, and he can really get into some situations and get back out. So I really like him. Let's go through his passives and abilities. So his first, what's his passive is Enfeeble. Anhur's spear attacks reduce the enemy target's physical protection for 3 seconds, and that's a 20 protection debuff. Then we have Shifting Sands. Anhur erects an obelisk from the ground, blocking all player movement. The surrounding sands slow enemies and increase the damage of Anhur's basic attack against targets in the sands, and that goes from 4% to 20%. The slow is 15 to 35%. Lifetime 7 seconds. That's pretty good. Let's go to his 2, which is his Impale. Anhur hurls a spear with great might. If the spear hits a god, they take damage and are knocked back. If a god's knocked back into a wall, they are stunned. The spear passes through minions, doing damage to all of them as well. And we're looking at a 90 to a 350, and the stun duration is 1.1 to 1.5. Let's go to his Disperse. Anhur leaps to his ground target location, doing damage and knocking back all enemies within the radius, and that's 50 to 210. And then we got Desert Fury. Summoning the Fury of the Desert, Anhur hunkers down and throws empowered spears that pass through everything, doing damage to all enemies in their path. He is immune to crowd control effects for this duration, and the damage per spear is going to be 60 to 160, and the spears thrown is 8. So let me go to a few levels up. Oops, wrong one. Go to 5 real quick. So, this is what you're going to see. This is his obelisk. This is the sands that they're talking about. This is player made, so you can knock people back into this to stun them. Then his his Impale. That's all it is right there. And then we've got his Leap. And then his ultimate. Alrighty, so let's go on and hit it to level 20. Alright, and then the build I have for him today is just I looked on Smite Guru, and this is the most used sequence of items, and it was weird because this is kind of how I had mine set up earlier, but this, again, all these builded champs are just beginner's guides. So you start off with Death's Toll, and then you move into Warrior Tabi, Ishval's, Asai, Quinsize, and then Deathbringer. Now there's also, obviously you're going to be selling your starter item towards the end. There's these that you can mix and match in different places that I've found that are really useful. Maybe a little bit more crit if you're wanting to run a crit build, but this is usually how I try to get me online in duels and everything else. So obviously if you want Transcendence, try to wheedle it in there a little bit before. Maybe try to figure out which one of those items you want to get rid of. Put it in to gain your stacks to get that kind of that power spike. I use Titan's Bane obviously for its passive physical penetration, 33%. It's really good on an item. And then you have the 30 physical power. And then obviously Executioner for shredding. You get the attack speed, the physical power, and then its basic attacks against enemies reduce their target's physical protection by 12% for 3 seconds, max 3 stacks. That's awesome. That's a really good cheap item. But anyways, let's just show, I guess, damage numbers with this build. So this is in game. I guess before you would probably sell your starter by now. Let's just get a Titan's Bane, and we can see. Okay, so 260, 270, 280, 80, 80. Crits aren't bad. So you got 336, and it'll build, and then let crit. Okay, so we got the 800. So let's go over here and maybe use an Impale real quick, kind of see where this is at. See, he's got the stun. Okay, and that's over with. Alright, so obviously he's got a little bit of power behind him. He's going to be able to take protections away. And I've got the pin, and with the Quins, I mean, it's a pretty good little build. And most people would say that DSI isn't worth it, but it totally is. So yeah, Gold Fury goes down like a sack of potatoes. So let's go over here to the Fire Giant. Gonna leap in here. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. There we go, got the Fire Giant kill. A little bit of miscalculations on my part, obviously. So yeah, this is a quaint little build. It's gonna definitely win you out on a lot of boxings. If you're boxing somebody, they're gonna have a hard time doing anything to you. Taking camps obviously is a breeze. With Anhur, the guys that you want to stay away from are obviously people that could probably outbox you. He is kind of a slower moving ADC for the leaps and everything else are kind of slow movements. So try to stay away from anybody that can lock you up. Maybe like a Merc that has a lot of power behind their control. Maybe a Scylla. Try to stay out of the way of those people. Other than that, he's a pretty good boxer when it comes to fighting other ADCs, and for the most part, maybe the Freya will give you a lot of issues. But yeah, I mean, he's a great ADC and someone to definitely have maybe on your top picks for your all damage carries. So until then, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more of the Build a Champ workshops. Until then, I'm Brenton Petrie, and I will see you guys next week.